Guys, my name is Felix, and if this is the first time you guys are on this channel, pretty much what I do is document my entire journey with my life, my business, everything that I'm doing, the systems that I use, the thought process, my mental frameworks. All of that is currently documented, and there's so much not for just people to watch it, but it's also for me to kind of look back in after 5 to 10 years to see how much I'm able to grow. And just having that documenting process itself is, just pretty cool at the end of the day. And I just want to share a lot of the mental frameworks and stuff that I'm working on. Okay. So in this quick video, I'm just going to talk about pretty much how I structure sort of like everything that I do and the calendar and productivity and time management that I use, I personally follow in order to take my company from 0 to 100,000 per month. And I'm just gonna also show you kind of like my calendar in the past couple of years, what got me to like 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K, all the way to right now, which we're doing 100K in revenue for the company, and potentially what I would try to kind of like switch up in order to hit my objective of 300K per month. Okay. So with that being said, what I have here is what we call a war map, and this is again thanks to Sam Alvin, because Sam Alvin is someone that I follow for the past 3 years, and I just love all of his philosophy and sort of his principles that he follow, not only in life but also for business. And a lot of that is what I kind of like, took in and really sort of like want to follow that helped me to get to where I am today. So I just want to share sort of like how I manage my time, how I stay productive and focus on the things that really matters. That's going to help me grow, not only on the business but on the personal side, the tools and the tracking that I use, because at the end of the day, the outcome of the business and your life really comes down to how well you manage your time, and then most importantly that translates to your calendar on the surface level as a tool, right? So what we're going to do is kind of like dive into what we call a war map. A war map is pretty much a bird's eye view of the entire year. And what I like to do is kind of like schedule things in advance to understand, hey, here are the deadlines of the most important projects that's going to move the needle of the business, or based on the amount of hours I put in or the input I put in, it's going to maximize the amount of output, and drastically going to help me exponentially grow based on the objective or the goal that I want to hit by the end of this year, right? So this is not my full calendar. I kind of like want to give you guys some examples instead of a blank template, and then you guys can feel free to also use this template afterwards. And again, I didn't create this. Sam Over did. So again, thanks to him for kind of like structuring this and giving it free to his community members. And then also I want to kind of like give you sort of my thought process behind how I use it, right? So every year, pretty much what I do is first things first is I like to do what we call a 90-day blitz. So for 90 days, I will go hard in the business. I would do exactly what I need to do to plan out different projects and deadlines to help move the needle of the business, whether it's hiring people, whether it's creating new content, whether it's focusing on different departments, creating systems. Those are high level strategies and tasks that I personally feel like I need to really put 100% of my focus and attention into, right? So understanding that, and then color coding it onto your calendar, when you wake up, you're subconsciously already know what is the end goal by the end of this year and what your progress is so far. So given the 90-day blitz, every 90 days that are passed, or every quarter that is passed, however you want to structure it, whatever works for you. For me personally, it's every 90 days. It doesn't have to be on a quarterly basis. It can be, hey, if I'm starting today, 90 days afterwards, I like to always give myself what we call a mid quarter three, or like a 90-day blitz break. And then within that break, I would normally try to schedule, book a flight to somewhere new, put myself into a different environment, and just not work on business, but focus on more personal growth. Focus on sort of like planning for the next 90 days and kind of reflecting on what has happened in that year, right? We are so fixated with our day to day responsibility. A lot of times we're just operating as robots on autopilot. We wake up, we do this, we go to work, we come back, we relax, we watch Netflix, go to the gym, and then the cycle repeats over and over and over, right? But sometimes you just need to give yourself a break, go to a new environment where the noises are completely. It's a fly in my house. Yeah, to really block off all of the noise, right? to delete all of the notification on your app so nothing keeps you distracted, and just focus on you. Just meditate. I would say what we call kind of like meditation, to really give yourself some time to do a lot of reflections, because at the end of the day, if you don't do any reflections, you wouldn't know what would be the bottom line bottlenecks on that's you know challenging or stopping your growth or stopping you from advancing to the next level, right? Because as human beings, the way that we find fulfillment in life is when we actually grow. We would never want to be stagnant. And that also translates to the relationships, to your finances, to your personal life, to your personal accomplishment, all the way to your business accomplishment. And that really comes down to what you value the most in life. For me, my values are, I want to make sure I have the time freedom to do whatever I want with my resources, time, and energy, and then work on things that actually fulfills me. And that really comes down to my business and being creative and creating awesome products, creating systems, building a team to really provide value into the marketplace. Because the more value that you can provide, the more problems you solve, the more money that you make, right? So that really comes down to the actions and the habits and your consistency and discipline on what you focus on, because focusing on the right things is going to translate to how well you do with everything else that you're going to be focused on, right? So in this case, right, as you see, I color code by August 8th to the 12th. I'm booking a trip to Hawaii to pretty much visit my family, and then also just to spend a little bit of time for myself. I think you just don't want to get distracted too much. I might spend a day with my family, but the next 4 days I might spend the time just being on my own, right? Maybe it's going to the beach, bringing a notebook, and just documenting everything that, no, looking back throughout the year and see what has been accomplished, and then figuring out, what's, kind of like stopping my growth, or what are some of the things that I've been doing that I know I shouldn't be doing, that's, you know, I can eliminate from, right? And kind of like pull out from, right? And then what I also did is, for very important task oriented, needle moving responsibilities in the business, I will also kind of like block that off on the calendar. So again, every day you wake up, you put this calendar up, hey, when's the deadline for a specific project, why it's very important for you to hit that deadline, and what's the benefit or gain that you get from hitting the deadline of that project, is ultimately going to just subconsciously, plant that seed in your head so you understand, hey, why this is so important, right? So as you guys can see, and then what you like to do is every single month you just want to plan out the quarter, or when you guys have free time, just plan out the rest of the year, set deadlines. It doesn't have to be, a lot of times we set deadlines for just this given week, the moment that we wake up, but we don't set deadlines for the remaining of the year, right? Sometimes you can't do projects within the given week that we're trying to, like, schedule out our calendar. Sometimes it does take, sometimes it's something that you want to postpone until later on because it's not as important. So it's based on what the priorities are, how important it is, and do you need it now, or is that something that can be done later on, right? So that's where I kind of like block off, write off all of my projects here, and then based on the timeline that I want to get it done, I want to implement that, integrate that into the business or into my personal life, I will color code it here. Secondly, what I do is I go into each section of the month, and I will just plan out the day. At nighttime, I will plan out our next day and what are the top 4 or 5 important tasks I need to complete or do my best in completing in order to see some sort of progress. And these are, again, tasks and responsibilities that's going to help me move, the needle of the business. It's not doing your typical onboarding call or typical fulfillment call or having to go to the grocery store, right? Those are little small decisions that's not going to make too much of an impact in your life. It is necessary, but those are something that you can schedule on, like, your notebook instead, which I call it like less effective tasks, but it's still important, right? I like to put effective moving needle type of tasks on this calendar, and then I will follow this structure every single day and then plan for the next day as well. And then sometimes, based on the projects that I have on my dashboard on the macro level, I will just copy and paste that project into the days that the projects are kind of like scheduled for in that case, right? So what I then do is I created what we call the human optimization tracker, starting with our daily planner. I think it might be a little bit cliche at first, right? Documenting and just be like, I'm like trying to operate as a robot, but the purpose of doing this is just so I understand, hey, why I do specific things throughout the day. And then sometimes we don't even recognize that the things that we're doing isn't really contributing to our growth. It becomes a liability. Your actions become a liability, right? So what I started doing is every day for just the next 2 weeks, you guys don't have to do it necessarily every day. It's just good to understand what your flow and what your actions are, what are the things that you're working on a day by day basis. And it will help you understand by the end of the week, when you look back at each of these daily planner and what was written out, you can categorize them into specific categories. Hey, distraction is one of them. So between the time of 9 to 10 o'clock, you're on Instagram just scrolling. You wouldn't even know that unless you start documenting that, right? You document every 30-minute increments until you finish work. It doesn't have to be for the entire day. Maybe it's only for, if you work a 9 to 5, or if you work in your business from 8 to 4, you document each hour or every 30 minutes on what you're specifically working on, and you will understand, you break that down into categories. Hey, within those times, I've been working on this. This honestly can be delegated to someone else. That's not something that's going to help me really progress or move as fast as kind of expected. Or, you know, these are distractions that I kind of like come across during these specific times, and you try to understand why, right? Because once you understand why you're doing a very specific thing, you can try to eliminate it or block it off. So, for example, what I notice is afternoon time, I just get a little bit, you know, clouded with my mentality. It's like I take a lot of morning meetings, and then from there I started to kind of like my energy goes down a little bit. And then I need to recognize that once my energy goes down, I start going to things that are going to give me quick fast dopamine, and that gets me distracted for another hour and a half. So for example, like going on my phone, checking my investment accounts, right? That's not going to do any changes to me. That's not going to obviously affect me in any way. It's just like, it's just I just want that quick dopamine hit just to see how it's doing. I want to look at what my friends are doing on Instagram, and that's pretty unnecessary. So what I decided to do is kind of like put my phone in the bathroom, lock it up, right? Or if you want to, get a lock box, when you go to the hotel, there's lock boxes or security boxes where you can put certain stuff in, and then you put a code in, and then once you put a code in, you can take it out afterwards by inserting another code, etc. But it's what you implement, what system you implement to kind of like mitigate your chances of doing that specific thing that's going to distract you, right? So for me personally, I put my phone away, right? I lock it into the bathroom so it's not in front of me. Therefore, subconsciously, the only thing I can do is go back to work, or go out for a walk to kind of refresh a little bit, come back in. I feel refreshed. I eat a little bit, and then I get straight back to work, right? So it's very important and allow you to understand where your focus is going, how many hours you're actually doing real work, and then what the output of those focused tasks really comes down to, right? And then what I also do is kind of like I keep track of things that are going to affect my energy for the next day, because the we obviously we grade when we go to school, we get graded on how well we do on tests and stuff, but we don't grade ourselves on how well we do in life or what we do with our energy. Because your energy really comes down to, you know, um, yeah, the best way to put it is, let me see, I actually took some notes on it. Yeah, your energy, the quality of your energy really comes down to the quality of the actions that you perform, right? If you have bad energy because you haven't slept well, you haven't had 8 hours sleep. So, for example, today, or yesterday, I only slept for like 6 hours, 5 hours, which is significantly bad. So in the morning, I'm a little bit groggy. I'm not in the best mood. I didn't really want to go to work. I didn't want to go to meeting, but it helps you recognize, hey, why are you even sleeping late in the first place? Help you recognize, okay, it's probably because I ate, a little bit late. Therefore, it kept me awake. I was also on my phone 1 hour before bed. So then the blue screen is kind of like affecting, you know, how well I sleep or how I can fall asleep. Maybe I didn't take my vitamins, right? Maybe I'm not being consistent with the schedule that I need to be in order to perform well the next day, right? So keeping track of that is very important. And that really comes down to number one, your diet, because what you consume, not only on social media and then also like with your friends and whatnot, it's also what you put in your body. Because ultimately, that's why a lot of people, when they eat carbs or eat breakfast in the morning, they tend to get tired because of, obviously how biology works in your body, and it just affects you. Carbs just makes you a little bit more sleepy. Therefore, you become a little bit more lazy. You take a nap and you just wasted like 2 hours every day, right? For me, I like to fast. I fast from 7 in the morning upwards to like 2 or 3 p.m. and I eat a small snack, and at 6 o'clock I would eat dinner, and then that would be it, right? And then sleeping 2 hours, stop eating 2 hours before bed. I see that as kind of like um, very important at the same time. Because if you eat 1 hour before bed, 30 minutes before bed, that's going to keep you up from like falling asleep. That's kind of like my genetics, how my body kind of like reacts to eating food 2 hours before bed. I wouldn't be able to fall asleep. And then blue light, I've been doing a really bad job, as you can see, you know, for the past 4 or 5 days, I've been using my phone. So that's something, again, it just brings awareness, and it's very important. So keeping track of that, and then making sure that you're consistently exercising as well, because once you exercise, it builds momentum, it builds confidence, the way that you look at yourself, the way that it's these little things that obviously it doesn't seem important at first, but when you look at it in a macro level, it compounds over time, right? Like down the line, I know if I exercise every day or 4 or 5 times a week, it's going to translate to a healthier lifestyle. Healthier lifestyle means cleaner energy. Cleaner energy means more mental clarity in what you do, what you focus on, etc. And your mind's just not, messed up from like eating junk food, etc. Right? Or just not being able to exercise, right? And then, I use the Aura Ring. If you guys don't have one, I recommend getting one. It's like a $6 per month, and then you pay a one-time fee of $250 for the ring. I think it's $350 now, but it keeps track of how well you sleep. So now you understand, hey, maybe it's the air condition. I like to set it up at 69 or 68 degrees when I go to sleep. I want to make sure it's cool. I want to make sure all of my blinds are closed when I sleep, because I don't want any light coming in to affect the way that I fall asleep or the way that I wake up, etc. Right? And then it'll also show you how ready you are for the next day, how the quality of readiness, how you're you know how well you sleep, and then from there it translates to how ready you are for the next day, your BPM, and then making sure that you're taking vitamins. And then at the end of the day too, I just want to see, based on all of these important KPIs on the personal side, did I show up for life? Did I show up for my health? Did you show up for work? And then, listing some of the wins, and then also things that you kind of like notice you want to document. It's sort of like a journal, a diary for yourself, right? So you're just aware of like what's going on. So with that being said, right, it's these small things that it does look like it's a lot of work, but it gives you is just it just makes you more aware. Once you become more aware, you understand what you can block off, what you can eliminate, what you can focus on a lot more, etc. And that would translate to a better quality life and a better quality outcome, etc., etc. Right? So now what we're gonna do is kind of look at my calendar from 2023, where I wasn't really, where this calendar is kind of like all over the place. As you can see on Thursday, for example, I have like all of these back-to-back calls. And then I start understanding as time goes on, like what is my flow, how I should be structuring my day. Because there are certain days where I might take a lot of calls, but the next day coming into it, I'm just like, so, you know, it made me so tired that I just don't want to work the next day, and I'm not consistent with it, right? So my schedule and the bookings and the things that I do is all over the place until I figure out, going to June of this year, right? I figure out a flow that works the best for me, right? So every day at 8:30 or every day at 8 o'clock, I also set a alarm on my phone as a notification that by 8 o'clock of every day, Monday to Friday, I will plan the next day on what I should be working on. And I make sure that it's listed on the war map, and then also listed on my calendar. And I'm also, filling in the KPIs for my personal life in that case, right? At 8:30 to 11 is where I kind of like decompress a little bit. It's taking vitamins, reading, or just meditating, not looking on my phone, just giving some time for myself and not doing any work. Because in the morning, you're already spending so much energy and decision making, and that would it just takes so much energy from you, and the last thing you want to do is more work because you're not putting in the best quality of work at the end of the day, right? So you want to make sure there's a hard stop, and then from there you just give yourself some time to either watch TV, watch Netflix, watch videos, meditate, take your vitamins, etc. Just decompress, and then by 11 p.m. go to sleep, and then same day, the next day, you wake up at 7 o'clock. I will shower. I will go for a walk, grab a coffee, read one page of book, and then start my morning meetings, right? So I'm really, really consistent as compared to what I am a year before. And that really translates to how, why my business was able to grow is because I'm sticking and being disciplined with what's listed on my calendar, knowing that it's in the best interest of me and that's going to move me to the next level. Okay. So hopefully you guys got some insight on how I structure everything. Again, I'm not the best in doing so, but I just want to provide you sort of like the thought process behind it, the templates, tools I use to kind of like keep track of it. So structuring your day again and staying consistent and discipline allows you to operate in a higher level mental clarity on what needs to be done. Over time, you understand, how to structure your day, how to operate at a higher level. Certain days, you want to make sure you block off for deep work. You don't take any meeting because the moment that you take a meeting, it might kind of like mess up your workflow, and then you're not in the right mentality for it, and then therefore your energy is all over the place, right? So it's little things like this that you tend to recognize, and then obviously every quarter I like to kind of like re-audit this just to see, hey, am I really progressing with this type of schedule? Is there certain things that I need to change to my schedule? Maybe in the morning I don't want to take 8 o'clock meeting with my team. I might move it to noon, right? So I can focus more on like, waking up, going on a walk, and then going into deep work with nothing distracted, nobody contacting me, right, etc. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to comment down below. I'm also going to leave the templates for this and this for you guys to download. Make sure to make a copy of it. And yeah, see you guys soon.